Adventuring onward in the endless night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in the storm of imagination mold. With every stroke, the fantasy unfold. These are lost our soul. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in the storm of imagination mold. With every stroke, the fate to fight for peace among our soul.
Yo, yo, yo! Yes, I have the power cable in front of my face, but let's get rid of that. Oh, let's try and get it out the way. Because it's time for Minis and Muscles. The only place you need to be on a Friday, the place where the brawn meets the paintbrush. This is a channel where we paint every week some lovely little miniatures. We take a look at my terrible collection of unpainted miniatures from the Dungeons and Dragons world to Warhammer and everything else in between, and I paint them. We sit here, we talk about geeky subjects, and we have a ruddy good old time. So, happy Friday, peeps. Whoa, it's been a big week, it's been a long one. How are we? Some of you regular viewers will notice we have slightly different background music today. Do tell me if you like it or loathe it, because we can change it. But I hope you're all well, and I hope you have had a good week, whether that's been a busy one, whether that's been a stressful one. So yeah, fingers crossed, it's all right. But it's the weekend, we've made it. Hopefully, for some of us, we will have a couple of days off for the Saturday and Sunday. So fingers crossed you get a chance to rest up. Some of you keen-eyed viewers as well will notice something slightly different. I've got a shine across my shoulders right now, and that is because I finally put in some new lights. They're pretty darn good. They're spotlights, so they make me very hot and sweaty, which is not so great. But I'm hoping that it gives us a better lighting for the minis. The only thing I'm not so happy about is, as you can probably tell, it's like a yellow, this side, it's like a yellowy colour light. So it's quite a warm light, which I will probably have to swap for a white light. So that then matches my little light, what are these called? Light bridges or light arches, and my little lamp here as well. So I will probably swap that over for next week. Didn't test it, but it's here. Getting a tan whilst I paint? Yes, I am, Adrian. Welcome to the show. Welcome to you. I can see your comments in there. Welcome to Honey Ann. Hello, hello, and hello. Have you had a good week, guys? Have you had a good one? What's been going on? So, at the start of the show, we always have a quick sort of get-together and a good old chat about how our week's been. For me, my week has been not too bad. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if anything hideous happened. No, I don't think so. The only thing that was quite hideous is that I haven't painted many models this week, and that's not so good. So I'm actually I get into a flow sometimes when I'm painting miniatures, and I'm like, I kind of miss that flow. So I'm looking at all the things that are around me, and I'm like, I need to paint that, I need to paint that. So yeah, I need to catch up myself on my painting, but hopefully you guys have managed to paint. Has anyone this week managed to paint any miniature figures? Regardless of the genre that you're painting. I don't care if you're painting Pokemons, My Little Ponies, or Warhammer, or D&D, or whatever that is. So stick it in the chat. Tell me what you've been painting. So for this week, I've entitled our episode Gaming Rigs, Army Grit, and Snip Slip. Ooh. But we'll come into that shortly, and I'll go through, as I do, our agenda for this live. So, painting-wise, we are going to be continuing to paint our little owlbear. So here he is so far. Here's our little owlbear. I was naughty. I did put those two little eyes in just because I was sort of looking at him on the table after the show last week, and I was like, oh no, I must put some eyes on him. So I did put just the yellow backing of the eyes. I haven't done the black dot in the centre. And I did also fix the antler on the back there. So I have fixed the antler for our poor little squashed deer. Oh, Pete Von Anrep's in there. I'm tickling some Terminators. Nice, Pete. I'm glad you're tickling some Terminators. Hopefully you're being very gentle with those Terminators and giving them the love that they need. Honey Ann is saying, this week I painted the walls in my guest room. Not quite miniatures, Honey Ann, but still pretty good nonetheless. Hey, it's painting, right? And I was going to say it's therapeutic still, but is painting rooms therapeutic? Probably not, because you're probably rushing against the timeline, got the old roller out and you're just going like crazy. So probably not so therapeutic, but well done to you nonetheless. So we're going to continue painting our little owlbear in this session. I'll just bring him into shot again just so you can see. That's what he looks like so far. We'll probably start to... I was sort of considering, you can see some of the shades there in the camera, but he's not, you can't see as many of the shades as what I can see in real life. Always happens that way. The camera never does things justice. But I might try to look at putting some more colour into him for a bit more texture. But we will continue with him nonetheless and get him sorted and done. If we finish him today, we will do another little vote. I will bring out some models and we will start to paint a new one. So we'll do a little poll like we do normally. I'll ask you guys what you think and then we can crack on with that one. So what is the main topic of discussion this week? Well, the topic of discussion is, we always talk about like old school retro computer games, right? Or we do on this channel because I very much like them. However, I thought this week we should talk about gaming PCs and modern computer gaming as a whole. Purely because a friend of mine was like, oh, I've got this old PC and it's not great, but it can do this, it can do that. And I'm currently got it on loan at the moment, just testing it. And it kind of inspired me to have a bit of a chat about that. So we'll talk about building versus buying and, you know, different GPUs and CPUs, computer games as a whole. So anything computer games today goes. So if you want to chat about it, stick it in the chat, get it in there, and we will start talking about everything to do with gaming. That is our main topic throughout the show. Of course, we have our two little side sections. So side section 1 is our muscle moment. The muscle moment for today is more about my journey from army recruit, really, and when I first started my physical sort of fitness journey all the way through to now. So from when I joined the army all the way through to now, just talking about that and then talking about things that you might find perhaps inspirational to challenge you to start on a fitness journey. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. In our muscle moment, our hobby horror moment is going to be when good tools go bad. When good tools go bad, and the little hint is in the title of today's show, which is Gaming Rigs, Army Grit and Snip and Slip. So we'll get to that point and we'll cover that off as well. Alrighty, so crikey, that's the first 10 minutes of my waffle already. But I'm delighted to have you all with me. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss it when we go live. Yeah, share it with all your friends. We have gone up a couple of subscribers, actually. I think we've got three subscribers on last week. So we were at 115, we're now at 118. So that is awesome. So if you're new to the show, new to Minis and Muscles, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this crazy adventure. I hope you enjoy the chat. I hope you enjoy the model painting. Please get yourself ready for model painting yourselves. Get out your water, make sure it's nice and clean. Sort out your wet palette. I was sorting mine out before the show. Because it's so hot, it keeps on drying out. So all the water keeps completely drying out of my wet palette. So I just had to re-dampen it. So make sure you've got your wet palette ready, make sure you've got your water, make sure you've got a good brew. Oh, look at that, that's even a good cuppa, right? So it's oh, you can't see his head though, that's a bit rubbish, but it is an ultramarine in a heat activated cup. So yeah, sad and geeky, right? So make sure you've got your brews or your water or whatever you need, and let's crack on. So let's swap down to our top down camera. Let's zoom on in. Oh no, I need to go there, don't I? Buff roughly. Because the camera is off at a funny angle, I can never get this right. I can never do it right. It's about there. Okay, cool. Right. Boop. A little bit more maybe. Okay, so yeah, this is where we are with our model. As you can see, well, you can't actually see, but those colours aren't really coming through. So we took out 3 browns last week. And believe it or not, there are 3 browns. I can see them a little bit better than what's replicated on the screen. So apologies about that, but I can assure you that there are 3 different browns here. And they're sort of scattered amongst just to give the sort of texture of the owlbear some kind of look and feel. We did do some claws on him, so he has got some nice claws. And we did do a little beak for him. We did the mouth. If you remember rightly, we sort of put the lighter shade pink in, then the dark red tongue. We then came in for a beak. We need to tidy that up, actually. I've just seen a little error on that. Yeah, the claws don't look too bad. They need that dark brown to sort of round off the edges, just to tidy those. Rocks need shading, and they need some sort of edge highlighting perhaps. Then we've got this poor little deer underneath, right? This poor little deer that's been squashed by the owlbear. And inside here, it's a bit difficult to see on the camera, but there's sort of a guts area in here. So we're going to have to do some entrails and some guts. So we will get that into our model. So that is the plan for today. And like I say, if we finish this model, we will do a vote for the next one. So make sure you prep all your brushes, get all your brushes prepped. Give them a little lick, painter's lick. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure Pete will agree with me as he's painting his Terminators. But there's nothing wrong with a painter's lick. Although, I never seem to do it with my dry brush. It just seems weird doing it with the dry brush. I just did it then. But I don't usually do it with my dry brush. Or do I give my dry brush a painter's lick? So, sorry for the cheesy dad jokes, crikey. But anyway. Oh dear. See, Pete's saying all the time. I think us painters probably ingest more paint than we paint. But that's the fun of it all, right? So, let's have a look here. We need to get some browns out. We need some oranges. So let's grab those whilst we're here. And if anyone is online already and anyone wants to chat about our topic of the day, and our topic of today is computer gaming as a whole. That's gaming PCs, that's modern computer gaming as a whole. We never really talked about modern computer games, so I thought I'd do it. So if you're interested in modern computer gaming, bang some questions in the chat or just start talking about it. And whilst I gather some paints, so we're going to go with Doombowl Brown, we've got Morfang Brown, and then we've got Dryad Bark as well. There are 3 browns. I need some whites. Oh no, it's a bit of an off-white actually for the claws. That's Wraithbone. So we'll go with Wraithbone for the claws. We got that's Wraithbone on the antler as well, and that's the Doombowl Brown for the deer. What do I need? I need a grey, but I need a slightly lighter shade of grey. So I'm going to go with Celestia Grey, and that's going to be for some sort of edge highlighting on the rocks. We're not going to do absolutely everything on this rock, purely because when you can go OTT, personally I feel, with edge highlighting. So we're just going to do a couple of key bits. There's some sort of, move my fat fingers out of the way, but probably this line here, this one down here, this little one, probably the one along the side here, along the top, maybe this highlighting edge down here, maybe this one down the bottom, just some protruding lines just to give it that slight difference. When you're doing edge highlighting, you don't want to go too cray-cray. Right, I've got my geek glasses prepped. I'll stick on my little fan that I've got next to me. Hopefully this is not too noisy. If it is, shout. But I need to stay cool under these spotlights. So, righty. Oh no, we need the orange for the beak, don't we? Sorry, guys. Orange for the beak, which is Fire Bright Dragon. And we need our Avalon Sunset for the eyes, just in case we cock those up. And an Abaddon Black for the black pupils. So let's just give all these a little shake up. So, tell me how your week's gone, guys, first, before we get into the main chat. How has your week gone? Has anyone done anything interesting? Pete was saying earlier that he's painting Terminators, which is awesome. How about anyone else? Anyone else doing anything else? Holly Ann was saying that she's been painting her... Oh, sorry, Honey Ann has been saying she's been painting her guest room. And that is now dark blue. Is it Macragge blue? So is it like Space Marine blue, like this blue? No, let's put it in this camera. Is it that, like that blue? I wonder. So I've got some other models to the side that I'm painting. Look, so you're not alone in Terminators, Pete. There you go. So I've got not a chaplain, a crikey, forget the bloody name, the one that does all the psychic stuff. Adrian will drop in the chat, I'm sure, in a minute and tell me all about it. But I have got one of those as well. Librarian, that's it. I've got a librarian in Terminator armour that I'm starting to do. So let's just shake a few more of these paints up. So our main topic is gaming PCs and PC, just gaming as a whole, I guess, and sort of modern gaming. So, you know, I wanted to talk about all things from building your PC, perhaps, all the way through to brand new games that are out, or perhaps your personal preferences or my personal preferences in gaming, you know, to nostalgia and all the rest of it. So again, if you've got anything to talk about gaming, stick it in the chat and we will talk all about it. So let's have a little look at this guy whilst we're here. There we go. Yeah, so as I said, the reason why I wanted to talk about gaming this week is because I managed to get my hands on a gaming PC. It's not a brand new one, far from it. It's like a semi-old one that a guy that I work with said, oh, I've got this spare PC, it's pretty old, would you be interested? And I'm kind of loaning it at the moment to see how it goes, how it works. And it's okay, it's not bad. So I'm just sort of getting to grips with it at the moment, and that kind of inspired me to chat about PCs as a whole. And the first topic I put onto my agenda was actually building a PC versus buying a pre-built. So I want to know from all of you that are watching, have you ever built your own PC, or have you ever just bought your own PC complete? What do you guys normally do? And whilst we're doing that, I'm going to start with the highlighting for the rocks. I've got that Celestra Grey out, and I'm just going to get my paint brushes ready. All right. What we had in chat here. So Honey Ann is saying, not that shade of blue, more like a navy mixed with a dash of black. Oh, okay, cool. I like the sound of that. That sounds very nice. So we're getting that Celestra Grey. We're going to try and go for some just edge highlighting here. So some of these rocks that are here, we're going to try and put a bit of a line on the edges just to make them pop and stand out. Normally, on edge highlighting, I would use the edge of the brush itself rather than the point. But where this rock is, it's slightly difficult to do so. It's not a very easy position because of the foot of this deer. So I actually can't. I would like to do this and just run it across, but I can't do that in this case. But that's okay nonetheless. We'll get a little edge highlighting on the go here. Bit thick in the first instance, but that's okay. We can trim all that down. Not a problem. So like I said, you don't want to choose all of the lines. You might only choose one or two of these lines to actually paint. Or you might choose a couple. But you don't want to do every single one. Well, again, say you don't want to. That is my personal preference when I'm painting, and that's purely because I think if you do everything, it kind of takes the shine off of what you do. So you don't want all of them. You want the standout, these sort of really standout lines, as I'm on this one now, for example. You just want to do the standout lines. You don't want to do every single one. And again, the thickness of the lines doesn't have to be the same. So you can, as I'm kind of doing here, as the paint's sort of coming off, it's more like a bit, well, it's a bit like a dry brush kind of effort here. Not too much paint on the brush. See around here it's a bit thick. Actually here is a lot better. So you've got really small fine lines. And I am using the side of the brush, or more of the side of the brush now. Which helps, I find. So find that line that you want, and you can just use the edge of the brush or the tip just to give it that standout look, just so it makes it look slightly more 3D, if that's even a term. So there we go. There we go, another little bit in here. Sometimes, there you go, I've just run out of paint, where it's quite warm actually. That's the only thing. I don't know if, Pete, you're finding the same thing. Where it's pretty warm at the moment, your paints do not last very long on the brush. They don't tend to last long anyway. But where it is super warm, crikey, the paint disappears really quick. It's sometimes frustrating, sometimes quite nice, because it means you don't end up with, you know, slapping too much paint on the model by accident. But in this case, we just want to pick out a few of these little bits. Let's take this line along the front here, because that's quite a nice line. So remember, take those really pertinent standout lines, run your brush over, and see how it comes out. Just try not to use too much. What we're saying in chat, haven't built one since dial-up modems. Oh mate, so you haven't built a PC since dial-up modems, crikey. Well, I got this one off of the guy at work, right, and it's kind of got me into the want to go and build one now, because this one's okay, but it's not great. And it's certainly not future-proof. So I'm kind of like very tempted to build my own. So I've been sort of messing around with filling my shopping basket with lots of different parts to try and build out a PC. Because when you look at some of the prices of some of these pre-built ones, they are super expensive. And I can't really work out why. I mean, I guess you get something pre-built and it's all done and dusted. You open the box and press play, right? That is what you're paying for, the convenience. But I quite like the idea of building it. So I have been kind of messing around, putting stuff into my basket on Amazon and different various computer game shops, just to see if I can build one. And I think if I get this one off the guy at work and then upgrade it, I think I could probably roll with that. And it wouldn't be too much money either. You know, I'm talking a couple of £100 rather than thousands of pounds, because some of these gaming PCs, crikey, they are a lot of money. I couldn't believe it. So we're saying in chat, just catch up here. Played 5e on Monday, says Adrian. So he played Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition on Monday and leveled up. Whoa, nice. What level are you now, Adrian? Warhammer Fantasy Battle didn't run on Wednesday, and today I picked up the Cyberpunk Red Rulebook from my friendly local game store. Nice. I think actually Pete plays Cyberpunk, or at least he's got the book, I know that much. Oh no, it's Morkborg actually that he's got. It's similar but not. Similar but not. That's cool. You have to let me know how that goes, Adrian. Be interested to hear about that. So, here's a couple of highlights. Can you see just those edge highlights there? There's not a huge amount. There's just a few, but there's just enough to make the little areas of the rocks stand out. It's not perfect, it's not the best in the world, but it's okay for what we want. We just want a little bit of detail. We don't want huge amounts, right? Just a little bit here. I want to kind of get this edge here, but that's quite a difficult one to do. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, sorry. Out of camera. There we go. So what do we reckon? Took, what, 5 minutes to just put a couple of edge highlights on? So remember, don't get too much paint on your brush. Go easy on the paint. If you can, use the edge of the brush. So you literally, rather than using the tip like that, you actually use the edge of the brush on that raised surface. I find that's a really nice way to do it, because you don't end up, you know, with your depth perception and pushing the brush too thick and pushing too much paint on. You can actually manage the flow a lot easier. Peter's saying, yeah, I'm having that issue too. So he's talking about his paint drying out because of the hot weather. Not good. Us painters are not enjoying the hot weather. But we shall persevere, Pete. We'll get through. I'm just trying to remember. I don't think I used dry out bark, actually. I think I used Rhinox hide last time as my base brown. So I'm just going to get that on out. Adrian's saying M2R1F1. M2R1F1. I haven't got a clue what that is. Am I missing something, Adrian? You're normally cryptic in your messages, so do let me know if I'm missing something. There we go, just put that this way around so you guys can see him. And those little sort of edge highlights we've done on some of the rocks. Apologies for the camera's not that great. We are a startup YouTube and not a fully fledged master show, unfortunately, at the moment. One day we'll have like a proper studio and we'll actually go for it big time, but not just yet, peeps, not just yet. So the only other thing I wanted to do here, I just wanted to tidy up some of these claws, because some of these claws, where I've been a bit overzealous with the wraith bone, so that's the white colour you see, I just put a bit too much on. So I just want to take those claws back a little bit and also just round off the edges of them. So where the white meets the brown, I'm just trying to round off those edges so it doesn't look like there's something missing, if that makes sense. Sorry if my terminology doesn't quite make sense to you guys. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Just trying to tidy up them little claws. What about a darker or lighter colour brown for the feathers on the front wings of the owlbear? Yeah, so believe it or not, like when I look at this now, I can see two. I did put 3 different browns onto the owlbear, but I can see 2 browns right now. So I can see it. I just don't think the camera does a very good job. But I can assure you there are 3 browns actually there. But you're right, what we could do is we could go back on these larger feathers here and really give them a standout colour. So maybe we will go and do that, Adrian. Maybe we shall listen to popular demand. So what else was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right, gaming PCs and building one, and Pete was saying that he hadn't built one since modems. I was kind of getting in that vibe of looking through all these parts and like, oh yeah, I could do that, oh yeah, I could do this, and I quite like the idea of it. I'm more than capable of building a PC. I just need to bother my arse and do it, right? And actually get the parts. So there's the next part. So should you buy one out the box or not? Well, price-wise says absolutely not. Because, oh, hey JPC, how you doing? The usual at work. Well, we're glad to have you with us. So that's the main thing. You are with us, JPC. Nevertheless, so welcome. Yeah, so is it cost effective or not to buy it out the box or buy parts? Now, from what I've seen so far of trawling the internet and using services like ChatGPT to help me find the best deals, because yes, you can use ChatGPT to help you find things on the internet. I have found that buying straight out the box is not really that cheap. You can save yourself quite a bit of money if you're willing to make the PC yourself. And nowadays, with the kind of things that you need to build a PC, actually it's not that difficult. I'd say building PCs has probably got easier, and you have to know less because so many things now become like plug and play. Whereas, if you go back to the early 2000s or the 90s or whatever, things weren't quite as plug and play, and you had to have a little bit of knowledge about you to be able to build a PC, or certainly one that functioned well. So things now just seem a bit different, where you can build your PC, you don't need too much knowledge, and you can do it at a cheaper rate than what you can by buying direct. So I've been kind of toying with that idea this week. Pete's saying, my brother has been building PCs, multiple, even using AliExpress. Ooh, okay. How's he finding AliExpress? Has he been ripped off yet? I'm always worried about AliExpress. Elias is here. Hello, Elias. How are you? Poop, I'm late, he says. Sorry. Don't worry about being late, Elias. You are here. That is the main thing. You are here. You are welcome aboard the journey. And I'm glad you made it. So that's the main thing. Don't worry about being late. It's about showing up. So yeah, so those gaming PCs, yeah, I definitely reckon it's cheaper to build yourself. And you can get quite a substantial difference as well, from what I've seen, and you can save yourself a few quid. So if you're prepared to put in a little bit of work, definitely have a look at building your own PC. Plus as well, it's like the fun of it, right? It's kind of what part of being a geek is, isn't it? Sort of tinkering and messing around with things and experimenting and finding what you like. And definitely, I think building your own PC gives you that. It's quite a sort of fun experience, and I quite enjoyed, understanding this CPU versus that CPU, or that graphics card versus this graphics card, So I quite enjoyed having a little research on it all. I was doing it just earlier before the start of the show, and I quite liked that, so I was impressed nonetheless. So yeah, there are risks though, of course, of building your own PC. You can cock it up, right? So do be careful. Pete's saying, nah, he actually got an extra case sent out to him, an error. Oh, think he's bought closed system water cooling off. They're cheap and it works fine. Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. All right, so water cooling. Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't looked at water cooling my PC. I'm not sure if you actually need it unless you have some really high-end one. Fans should be enough. Well, I say that, but my PC gets warm when I play it, but I wouldn't say it gets hot. And that is a fairly old PC running modern games. So I think it's more about ventilation. So perhaps like where you place your PC is very, very important. So if it's on the ground, it's going to get even hotter. So try and have it off the ground so the air can get to it and all the rest of it. Yeah, that's probably a good start. So we're just touching up the beat right now, just making sure that is all tidy, because last week I rushed through this, and there's a couple of little bits that I just wanted to perfect. As always, when you look at these models, there's always a part where you go, oh, actually I'd missed that little bit there, or I could have done that bit there, and so there's always little bits. Oh, look at Adrian saying hello to Elias. Look at the community we're growing with, everyone remembering each other and saying hello. See, this is what it's about, right? Hanging out with a load of geeky mates, and talking about geeky things, and just enjoying our evening. that is what it's about. So I do have actually a special colour, just thinking I'm just going to transition now. So I've sort of done the Rathbone on the claws, on the antlers. I quickly touched in the beak. I've done some sort of edge highlighting on the rocks. So I was actually going to move round to the back and start painting the guts that are hanging out of this poor deer that's under the owlbear's foot. So that's what I was going to paint next. Let's see if I can get... It's a bit difficult, but yeah, you can just about see it there. Look, there you go. But now I can't see it to paint it, which is a bugger. I have to come from this side. Alright, so we've got some guts in here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this little section some pink. And then I've got, once it's dried, we're going to come back and I've got some coagulated blood, which is a special effect paint that we're going to put on the rest of the area. We're just going to literally soak it because it's quite a cool little effect paint. I really like it. Very simplistic and quick and easy. And that's what we like on this show, quick and easy. We don't want to mess around. We're not entering Golden Demon here. We want to get these models on the table. So yeah, yeah, that was my thoughts on gaming PCs and building them, and just seeing where I can take it, and just another little avenue of geekdom. You know, it's just quite a nice little thing to do. It's quite interesting. So I just wonder if any of you have ever built one. Oh, poor deer as opposed to an expensive deer. Yeah, yes, exactly, Adrian. Oh, you are the master of jokes, Adrian. You are the master of jokes. I've just got to tilt it to one side. Sorry, guys. You can't quite see what I'm painting, but trust me, I am in the right area. It's just that I have to tilt it in a certain way to get to these bits. There we go, right. So hopefully you can just, if I tilt it that way, there you go, you can see his organs spilling out there as the evil owlbear is stomping on his guts. So we got that. I might actually put some shade on that just to give it a bit more definition so it looks not just like a sort of pink blob but looks a bit more like something. So I'm going to do that actually. I'm going to do that now. Let's get this one. And then once that dries, we'll use some blood on there and slop the blood on. But yeah, what else then? So yeah, that's my first gaming rig. So what is my first gaming rig? Really simple. I paid under 100 quid for the monitor. Got it on sale and it was in Argos. And it's a pretty good monitor. It's by MSI, if anyone knows of MSI. It's up to 200 hertz, so that's up to 200 frames per second, which is more than adequate enough for certainly my gaming abilities. And then what else is there? It is slightly curved as well, so it's quite a nice little curved screen. It was under 100 quid as well from Argos, and it's just gone up to £109. But it's still not bad if you want something cheap and cheerful. And that's an MSI brand. Just noticed I went over slightly on the pink there, so just trying to cover that up. There we go. Lovely. Yeah, so I've got the MSI screen. Then what else did I get? I got myself the PC itself, which has 3 real parts to it. So it has the motherboard, the graphics card, and a CPU. Well, the CPU is an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X, which is not really a great processor. It was great a few years ago. It was, well, I say great. It was probably a mid-tier processor back in the day when it was first released. It's now pretty low level, but it is good enough to play, you know, Fortnite and that's probably that and World of Warcraft are probably the only games I will play on it, because I'm not really a full-on gamer. I prefer in-person gaming, like what we're, like Warhammer or D&D or something like that. So I'm more an in-person gamer. But that's what I got it for. So it'll run Fortnite pretty well. With the graphics card, I've got a GeForce 1070 graphics card. Again, it's pretty mid-tier when it was first released, and now it's sort of low-tier. But it will run Fortnite at 1080p HD graphics, so it's not too bad. It's an okay setup. It's not super powerful though. You can't run it much faster than that. That's probably your lot, but it's okay. So that is my sort of gaming setup as such. Basic crappy mouse, basic crappy keyboard that I got from, I think it was Tesco or something like that. And then I just rigged up my PlayStation controller into my computer, because I didn't realise actually you can use a PlayStation controller on a PC, which is mega. What we're saying here, it's just awful, it says Adrian. So I guess with consoles, so Pete's saying he goes with consoles, purely for cash flow and longevity. Bang it on my phone contract and they last for years. Yeah, so you can do the same kind of approach with PCs if you buy the top end, but top end PCs are quite expensive. It used to be days of old, they've kind of flipped reversed. Consoles, I think, used to last forever, and PCs used to last forever, and consoles used to change all the time. Now, in the modern day, I think actually PCs change often, and consoles, like Pete's saying there, don't really change that much. So you could buy a PS5 now, today, and it will probably do you in 5 years' time. And it will still play top of the range games. Whereas a PC, would that last 5 years? I'm not entirely sure. And it's certainly cheaper as well. Consoles are way cheaper. Even this older game PC that I've got will still cost like 200 quid maybe. So, that's like half the price of a PS5. And it's not as powerful, I don't think. Well, it might be, I don't know. But yeah, so it's interesting. But Pete's saying, having said that, if you fork out initially, it won't cost much to do the odd upgrade, and the savings you can make on games, Steam, Humble, offsets. Yeah, it swings and roundabouts, it really is. And if you're playing older games, do you need to upgrade? No, I don't think so, not really. If you're playing older games, I think you can get away with playing a lot of these older games quite happily without worrying about upgrading. I could play on my old retro stuff on this PC without a question. It's just whether or not something like, because I play Fortnite with my cousin a lot as a sort of social thing more than anything, and actually to play that, I don't know, will the parameters go up, and will I be required to have a more powerful PC to play Fortnite? Not sure, possibly. All I'm doing now, though, just so you know, is I am mixing up a bit of a brown colour so I can do some highlighting, as Adrian suggested, on the feathers. So we'll do some edge highlighting on the feathers. The big feathers at the front of the guy's claws, feet, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so these parts here, so we'll do some edge highlighting over here. Yeah, so my only concern is with this one I've got is it is pretty old, and some of the technology in it's pretty old, although it still plays Fortnite fine. The idea of having a PC really is so that you can compete at a certain level. Now, I'm sorry, I'm out of shot. What I have noticed with playing Fortnite, for example, on the PlayStation, is you actually, because the frames per second and the game is sort of halted on the PS5, you can't enhance the graphics, you can't change the frames per second, you're kind of limited. Actually, those that can change settings do quite well. So what you'll notice in these sort of games is, oh bugger, I'm really sodding this up. What you'll notice is it'll be like you're looking at a character to shoot them, right? And you shoot with the crosshairs on them, but it will never hit them because it looks on your screen like they're still there, but it's milliseconds and they've moved. And that happens quite a lot. And I did a couple of test games last night with my cousin, and actually already noticed some sort of differences, and it was quite telling. I was sort of pulling off shots that I would have never been able to do before, and even he said, "Oh, you're actually doing all right there." So it was quite nice to be able to do that. And when you're playing, especially with people that are good, and my cousin is pretty good at gaming, unfortunately. Don't tell him, hopefully he's not watching. He's pretty good, so I don't want to let the side down, you see. That's what I don't want to do, and be the crap one, you know. So these edge highlights on these feathers have not gone to plan, so I'm going to have to come back and trim these up and tidy them up. Don't worry, that often happens here on Minis-N-Muscles. We have to go back and tidy things. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. If you're ever painting a mini and you have to go back and tidy things up, don't worry about it. That's part and parcel of miniature painting. It might not look too bad on the screen to you, but for me it's a bit like, oof, looking a bit crap. So what we got in the chat? Pete's saying, mate, that's just old man reflexes. Yeah, okay, so the chances are it probably is a little bit old man reflexes. I'm certainly not as fast as what I was. Thanks, Pete. But it is also, it does act, without wanting to sound like I'm making an excuse here, the game itself does have a little bit to do with it as well, as in the machine and how it plays. But yeah, you're right, there is a certain element that is old man issues. Yeah, I'm fully aware, Pete. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, bro. Much love to you, pal. I might have to put, talking of old manness, I might have to put on my geek glasses here, because I'm trying to do these tiny little feathers and just trim off the highlighted areas and make it a bit thinner. But it's a little bit difficult doing it naked eye, so just whack on the old geek glasses. And they make such a difference for tidying up edges. That's if your paintbrush is decent. This paintbrush is actually a bit knackered. I should really change it over. I did say a couple of weeks ago I was going to change my brushes, didn't I? I never did. So lazy. It's also a bit of tightness as well. I'm like, no, I can get longer out of these paintbrushes. I can get another 10 years out of them. Which you blatantly can't. But we'll try at least. Maybe I'll change this one after today. Yeah, so that was a point about my gaming rig. If you guys have got a gaming rig and you're... Oh, bugger. So you've just done a bit too much there. That's what happens when you use the point of the brush rather than the edge of the brush. You can sometimes squirt a little bit too much paint onto the miniature. And that, you know, that's a pain in the bum, because you then have to go back and tidy it again, which is another issue. Alright, okay, so we'll stick with that there. Actually, I've just noticed there's a bit of colour missing on the back of this guy. let's just fill that in. Okay. So that's what we're looking at so far. That's what just giving it a little bit. You can see that sort of white, not white, but a whiter kind of edge to those feathers. And then the difference between that and then that. Can you see the difference? Hopefully the camera gives you a difference there. There's sort of no definition there, but if you go over here, you can see the definition. So that's what we're going to replicate on this side. I've noticed as well, he's got a little sort of wrap around his hand or his wrist. So I might have to do that some sort of funky red or something. In fact, yeah, let's do it funky red. Have we got a red available? Oh, that's not good. Have a sip of coffee whilst I'm here. That is why I play co-op. Yeah, I know. I feel your pain, dude. I feel your pain. I'm just going to add some red to my wet palette just because I want to paint this sort of little wrist handkerchief thing on the owlbear. I want to paint it red. So let's come around here. Yeah, so that is so far my gaming PC experience. I'm kind of enjoying it. It's not a bad thing to do. It's certainly more interesting than just a console. But do I prefer console or not? Ooh, now that's a question and a half. At this point, I don't think I can say whether I prefer one or the other. Because I haven't really had enough experience with this PC. But as I said, I have noticed an ability to, let's use this Fortnite as an example, to crack shots that I was not able to do on the PlayStation. And I'm using the same controller. It's just a different computer, PS5 versus a Windows gaming PC, and there is, I'm afraid, a difference. You might not find that with all games because some games will operate the same as they do on a console as to when they do on a PC, but in this case of Fortnite, they do operate, I can confirm they do operate differently. So that's my experience so far. If you've had any experience with the two, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. So paint this paw. Oh, sorry, just out of colour there. Can you see we've got a little bit of a red wristband going on there? That's quite cool. I just wanted to do some detail on that. It's just another little colour. So that one little colour there is just another nice sort of distraction. You don't need a lot of colour in a miniature, but just having that red there is just quite a nice little thing to look at. It sort of draws your eye in, as well as, you know, the edge highlightings on the rocks, for example, draws your eyes in. It just helps. So if you've got a miniature and you're painting it up right now, if there is a little sort of piece that you can do in a bright, bold colour, God, I look like a knob with these on. If there is a thing you can do with a bright, bold colour, always go for it and just give it a blast. See what it looks like. Like that little red thing there, that little red handkerchief thing, actually looks quite cool. As does the edge highlightings on the rock. And then you've got the edge highlightings on his feathers at the front there as well. We're just going to do these feathers now, though. Oh, God. Dropping him all over the place. Right, so go back to my geek glasses. So the next part on my agenda to talk about on gaming is gaming accessories and what makes a difference. So, again, I am very new into this gaming journey on my side. But let's start with the controller. So you can play games on a keyboard and mouse. I know a lot of people that do. However, I do not think in a million years I'd be able to. I did sort of mess around with keyboard and mouse, but crikey, you get a super fast reaction, as in the mouse can react way quicker than a gamepad can for turning your character around. But blimey, it's really difficult, and I mean really difficult to get a shot on target because it's so sensitive. I just found it a right nightmare. So, as I said, I plugged in my PlayStation controller and I am now using that quite happily. It's something that I am familiar with. So for me, that is the number one accessory that I had. You know, there are options such as special mice. So get yourself a special gaming mouse. Not for me though. I went cheap, and I just got a cheap mouse. You know, it was about 10 quid or something. It wasn't very expensive. Again, because I don't think my gaming talents deserve it, but B, I don't think the mouse for me does anything apart from, you know, clicking from one bit to the next. So for me, it's no point. So far, the controller has been the standout addition. Again, same as keyboard. If you're playing a game that requires keyboard, and maybe if I get back into World of Warcraft, I'll want a better keyboard. But right now, I don't think I require any special accessories. I do have a headset because it doesn't have speakers, this PC. It's purely headset related. So again, I just use that. It's all about, you know, people aren't millionaires. You don't want to spend a ton of money on stuff. You want to kind of save your money for the more important things in life. But if you do want like a little luxury item like a PC, don't go crazy on everything. Just get the little bits. You don't need everything. Trust me. Says me that acting like he knows what you're talking about, eh? What's we saying there? No more comments in the chat. That's okay. So yeah, you can get things like a mouse with extra buttons. You can get specialist keyboard. You get all the freaking. There's a big thing about light up things at the moment. So light up keyboards, light up this, light up that. Me personally, not a fan, but you might well be. So if you want a nice PC that shines bright at night and glows up your whole bedroom, you can get the mouse to follow. You can get lights inside your PC near the fan, and you can get lights on your keyboard. So they are there for you to take if you feel that that's what you want. So there's plenty of cool options there. You can even get... Oh, actually, I do have some RGB lights, and that's on my chair. So I bought a... incidentally, I bought a... this is 4 years ago now. I bought a gaming chair, PlayStation gaming chair. And that has light up... it's like LED light up on the side. So you can actually have your chair blasting out lots of various colours whilst you're sat there. Not my thing, but hey ho. I can't quite see those edge highlightings on there. Can you see them? There you go. If I just hold it there, you can see the edge highlightings, just where it's a slightly different colour. It's difficult to show on screen again, so apologies. I can fully tell you there is edge highlighting here. You can see it just there, look, and it just kind of makes the feathers look like they stand out. They look more 3D. So that's what we wanted. So that's what we got. Okay, so we've got the feathers. We've got the highlights on there. That's good. I'm just going to drop my geek glasses and take them off for a second. Because I am going to have a sip of my drink, but we're going to get some of this specialist paint out to paint the guts that are underneath. So if I lie that like that, there we go. It's probably like that it needs to be. There we go. So there's the guts underneath. That's what we're going to paint. Right, so you got two kind of blood effects that I like. They're both from Green Stuff World. One is coagulated blood, and one is true blood. Coagulated blood is for like what we want for this scenario. It's like thick sort of blood pools that have sort of been there for a while. This one, true blood, is more like a thinner blood that you might want to put on like a blade. So if a blade's hacked through something, it's like in the blade has gone into the model, you might want to then add a little bit of true blood for a blood effect there. The coagulated one is like a big sort of thick blood pool like, which we've got underneath the model here, because he's been tucking in and it's been a little while since. You could also add more of the true blood, and we could put some true blood around his mouth actually, and maybe we will try that shortly. Just so we've got both in play. Let's mix them up. Has anyone ever used these Green Stuff World paints, by the way, just in case? Let's put it back into view. That's the coagulated blood one. They're very, very good. They often come in... You can buy them separately, actually, so you can just buy this one on its own, or you can buy them in sets, and the sets sort of look like this, so you get a variety of different things in there. So what we've got vomit, we've got bile, we've got rust, we've got another type of rust that's like oxidization type, third rust, which is a greeny colour, and then you've got a chipping medium as well. So you get lots of different selections, which is quite good. But I love this coagulated blood, and the reason why I love it is because you can get this and just literally use the pipette here and just drip it onto the model. It's awesome, but I'm not sure if we can get in there for that. Oh, we might be able to. Let's see how we go. Oh no, it's not come out right. It's not mixed. Ah! So we need to get rid of that and quick. Oh no! It didn't quite mix up. So there we go. There's a hobby horror moment where you think you've mixed your paint and you go to drop it in and it's an absolute disaster. It's not mixed at all. Right, let's go again, shall we? So what's Pete saying in chat? He's saying, I recently got a new chair when I moved by a company called Bullies. It's on the pricier side, but worth it. Had an X-Rocker before, which was like sitting on a bag of spanners. Ah, so you're talking about X-Rocker. Well, the chair that I've got, the PlayStation one, is an X-Rocker. So it's pretty naff, to be honest. And it wasn't cheap either, so I have looked at Secret Labs. They're on the pricier side as well, but I'm also thinking, well, it's you know, you're sitting in it a lot of the time, and I will sit in this chair also for work. So I need something that is very, very comfortable. And that kind of comes under your gaming accessories, chairs. You know, I'm even looking at a table, a stand-up one. So, you know, one that you can sort of stand up and raise electronically and sit and lower it, because I get a lot of back pain because I'm old, Pete, as you've just pointed out earlier. So I'm looking at a chair that I can lower and raise. A table that I can lower and raise. So yeah, it's pretty hurried. GSW 6 paints are banging. Yeah, they are. Pete, absolutely right. They come in these. I love the boxes as well. The box art's very cool. So this is the box art. There you go. The box art is so smart, and they even give you suggestions on how you can use the paints and what they all work for. So there you go. So you can actually see there. Actually, they've done what I said: true blood on the blade of the weapon, and the coagulated blood in the sort of gory mess here. So I was right in my descriptor. So that's whew, thank the Lord. Paints for a Corn fan, says Adrian. Yes, yeah. Although let's not talk about Corn and the World Eaters and how much they've been absolutely stuffing my sisters a battle recently. God, the damn buggers. Yeah, I just cannot seem to get a good whack at World Eaters. I seem to get absolutely demolished by them every time. But we'll find a way. We should find a way. We should persevere and find a way. Right, I still don't think this is right, you know. Something not quite right here with this paint, despite the shaking. Yeah, it's not coming out right at all. It's almost like it's... I'm going to say it feels like it's gone off. Weirdly. Not that it should have, because it's all done up, but... I'm giving it plenty of shaking, but it doesn't seem to be coming out right. And I really wanted to show you guys this paint because it's really good. But yeah, Peter's saying, yeah, they're worth it, the tables. I would love to get, as an accessory to my gaming PC, I would love to get one of those tables. From going from being in the army on my feet every single day, active, to now sitting down all the time, it's quite a difference. So the only time I really get out is when I go to the gym, which is fine. And when I go for evening walks and lunchtime walks, but that's not enough, and I'm not spending enough time on my feet. And we're not designed to sit down all day, are we, as people? So I am a little bit fragile when it comes to my back. So I need to make sure that I look after that. So yeah, I'm looking at the table. So we'll see anyway. We might get it, we might not. But yeah, my monitor wise as an accessory for a gaming PC, it's a curved monitor, so it's meant to be sort of more dynamic and sort of, what's the word, immersive. And I think it is actually, in comparison to my old one. And they're the same size, so 27 inch, not massive screens. You know, it is far more immersive and interesting in that sense. So I'm liking it for that. Oh man, there's something really up with this paint. It's just not coming out in the same way it did. Maybe the lid wasn't on properly. But look, I'll show you. That is not coming out in the same manner it should. It should look way different to that. It's not looking right at all. So that has really disappointed me because I loved that paint. And I don't know what's gone on with it. I'm going to be emailing Green Stuff World. Adrian's saying footrest. Yeah, you can have a footrest. So I've actually got like a bean bag I use as my footrest. That's what I kind of use as my footrest. So yeah, that's kind of where I am with footrests. But that doesn't mean to say you couldn't buy a proper footrest and actually use a proper one. Right, all I'm doing now is just put some of this True Blood on the mess there that is the guts. But with the True Blood, what I want to do, I'm actually going to put some on here. I want to try and just sort of blob it about the place. And what about a little bit on his claws? See if that looks okay. Just dabbing a little bit of this True Blood onto his claws, and this is what you would do with the weapons, right? So you would use it in the same way, quite sparingly, little tiny bits. So you might want some claws that have got little blood on. You might want some that have got lots. And you can kind of put a bit. I'm putting a bit in the palm as well. So the palm has got a bit of red to it. So you see there I've gone... Oh, there you go. I've got a couple of claws that are kind of covered. One that's hardly covered. And then, you know, just a bit of difference. Rather than having all in one place. And we can probably get a bit of this around the beak too. So let's just give him a bit round the mouth. So, all I'm doing, by the way, this stuff doesn't need a wet palette, so I'm just putting it onto my cutting board. Just putting a little dribble that goes down his chin. So there you go. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. So there's a little bit of blood around his mouth and a sort of goes round in his fur around the beak and down his chin. So yeah, that's where that is going. But again, not too much. You don't want to just absolutely cover it. It's just a little teeny weeny bit because it's quite a shiny kind of looking paint. What we got on here? Pop a bit of medium in it. Oh, in the coagulated blood. Yeah, I might try see if that works and cleans it out. But I'll do that after show. What is Amy saying? Food is eaten, so beak and mouth. Yes, yes. And you'll notice I've done the beak as well as the hands. But he's only one. He's only used one claw to tear it open. But yes, we have done that, so that is good. So let's just cover that up. Although, right, if I show you this where it's dried, look, that does look like blood in there now, doesn't it? That's pretty good. So if you had like an old bit of blood on a tissue, that does look like it. So you've got that sort of coagulated versus fresh look. That's the kind of difference you get. But it does look a little bit more. It looks a little bit more reddy. You've got more hints of red in it, so it doesn't just look like a scab. Because ultimately, on your model, you don't want this. You don't want that scab-looking blood. You actually want like a mix of the two. So you kind of want something in between that, and that's generally what the coagulated blood looks like. Trying to think if I've got a good model to show you guys. If you bear with me a second, I think I might have a model just here. Ooh. Okay, so this is a Sisters of Battle Hospitaller that I'm working on. So, can you see? Let's get my paintbrush as a pointing tool. So the blood is all around here. So she's holding her stomach, and the blood is all sort of pooled around down here. And it's a darker effect than the true blood, but it just looks like it's pooling and it's sort of rushing out. That's kind of how it should look. So there we go. Splashes of blood on rock. Well, there are on the back, so I put some splashes of blood on the back of the rock there. I haven't put it down here, so perhaps we could put like a bit right down the front where it's dripped from his beak, perhaps, down onto the rock. So let's just get a little bit of red out, a little bit of that blood out. And let's put a little bit down here. So we've got a little bit right at the foot here where it's dripping off of his beak straight down onto the rock. So we've got some on his claw, we've got some on the rock down the front there, and you've got some obviously right round the back on the rock round this. Oh, can you see through there actually? There you go. There you are, just in there. Sorry for the poor lighting and poor camera angles. There you go, you can see a lot of the blood that side. I have chosen to leave a little bit of the pink showing on this side, just so you can see the undertones of what the guts are underneath that. But looking cool so far, I think you shall agree. Sorry, I just moved the whole model out of the way. Hopefully you are enjoying tonight's show. So we always reach the halfway point, and at the halfway point of the show we always sort of take a moment to pause from the painting. We return to this glorious view and we talk very briefly about fitness. So I wanted to talk about today about my journey from sort of getting into the fitness world, from army recruit to sort of the fitness journey that I'm on now, and then give you some sort of inspirational ideas on how to start your own journey. So if you've got any fitness comments now, drop them in the chat, let me know. Right, so when I joined the army many moons ago, I was not fit at all. I was slightly chubby, so a little bit overweight, hadn't really trained at all, and just as a 16-year-old lad just went straight in into the army. Now they obviously trained me up and motivated me to be fit through the various different sessions we had. But actually, it was kind of like the shock of it all and how things worked in the military to then the training that they applied to me for me to pull my finger out and go, oh my god, actually, this is quite fun. I don't mind fitness. It's actually quite simple. It's quite easy to do. All you got to do is listen to someone and they say, right, run here, run there. Okay, great, I'll go do it. And you see huge benefits. So rather than walking up a hill not being able to breathe and talk at the same time, you can walk up a hill with ease and talk, or you can run up the hill and talk. It was actually quite a nice positive feeling for me. So it kind of led me down the roots of fitness, and it sort of taught me when I joined the army about sort of discipline and applying myself and making sure I stick at things to see things through. So I started on that sort of discipline and consistency side, because every day, 3 times a week in the military you get physical training, and you can do your own stuff as well in your own time, but actually dedicated time during the day to do fitness. So actually on my journey it was almost, I didn't have to do anything for it, if that makes sense. I was pushed into it in the sense of the army needed me to be fit, so they made me fit. But I really started to enjoy it. I then became a fitness training instructor, a physical training instructor, should I say. And I continued that then into other sports, and I started enjoying sports, cross country, triathlon, swimming, biathlons, all this sort of stuff. I started absolutely loving. And then when I left the military, I was still into cycling, and Pete's saying he misses me in those white shorts. I know you do, Pete. You loved the white shorts. So part of a physical training instructor's uniform is bright white shorts with a red belt, white vest with sort of red piping around the edge of the vest. So I looked absolutely awesome in my white shorts, and Pete loved it. So Pete is someone that I served with many moons ago, and he loved seeing me every day in my white shorts. Thanks, Pete. But yeah, so I sort of experimented in lots of different things because I was forced to do it through the army. So that was kind of my motivator, because it was not necessarily self-motivated, it was pushed upon me. Now, you don't have that in Civvy Street. You don't have someone saying, right, you're going to do physical fitness training 3 times a week, every week, and you're going to do X and you're going to do Y, and you have to do it, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So how do you then motivate yourself to take yourself on that next step of your journey? Oh, crikey, I've missed out part of my journey, actually. So I was talking about, until I got interrupted by white shorts, I was talking about when I left the military, I then sort of was still into cycling, and then about 2018, I then sort of moved across from more cardiovascular stuff into weightlifting stuff, because I'd never done weightlifting before, because it's not really conducive of being in the army. It's not particularly helpful. So I'd always done cardiovascular stuff, decided to go across to weights. And so far I've kind of stayed on that journey. So it's been about 7 years now I've done weightlifting. Really enjoy it. I do find myself getting a lot more injuries now, especially to do with my back, but I think that's partly to do with sitting down a lot. But it's slightly different way, because I'm now pushing myself to do it. I don't have any goals, I don't have any aspirations in terms of physical challenges and things like that. So it's a bit more difficult to motivate yourselves on days you feel crap. So that's why I wanted to talk about the sort of inspirational things that can help you, because you don't have, and I don't no longer have, the army saying to me, right, come on, you got to do this, go and do this, be the best, do this, do that. You have to inspire yourself, and it's sometimes quite hard. So what could you do to start off your fitness journey, or Pete, get back into your fitness journey and start getting out there and losing a bit of timber, getting a bit more fit, getting a bit more active, and putting a few more years on your life expectancy? Well, there's a couple of things you could do. So there are really crazy things you can do, all the way to really easy things. The first thing, and everybody here has probably heard of it, is the Couch to 5K. The Couch to 5K run. It is running. Everybody can do running. It's easy. It's free. You can do it straight outside your house. You only need a pair of trainers. Most people already own a pair of trainers. They might not realise they're running trainers, but they probably already own a pair. So if you don't know, then just take yourself down a shop, get a pair of cheap running trainers. Don't get anything crazy to begin with, but just a cheap pair. You know, you can spend 20-30 quid on a pair off from online. And take yourself and start to take a little run around the block and work your way up week by week to 5 kilometers, and that is your challenge. If you go on the Couch to 5K website, you will find like advice and forms and things like that and training programs they give out, but it's a really simple way to do it. What you could do is you could try the next sort of step up from that, which is park runs. Park runs are 5K races and 10K races. But mostly 5K, and I think they do a juniors at 1K, I think, or maybe 2K at juniors. So that's more competitive, so you're running against other people. That's why I said maybe that's like the second part of your journey. But it's free. You don't have to pay anything for it, or certainly wasn't when I did it. But it's just a timed run around your local area for 5K, and they record your run. You sort of run against other people, which is inspirational in itself, and it gives you a little bit of a challenge. So as you get into your pace and you see that guy or girl in front of you, you want to get past them and you want to get past the next one. So that's quite good for motivating you. And you also could find friendships and groups through that where you can then have your training partners, and you don't want to let people down, so you start turning up to these events. So those are two sort of easy-going ones. You then have things like High Rocks, which is quite a sort of popular CrossFit type style event, which is 1 kilometre, eight lots of 1 kilometre runs, and they're separated after each kilometre with a sort of exercise in between. So it could be like burpees in between, or it could be pushing a sled or whatever. So you do that for a little bit and then you go back to the 1K run. So you could do something like that. That's something a little bit more intense, a little bit more in your face, if you like, but that is something to challenge yourself towards. We've got a couple of comments in the chat now. So we've got Pete saying, as a barber, I'm on my feet a lot, but that's not enough. Also, no cartilage in my right ankle. However, I know I'm better than this. Where I've moved to, there's a private field for us, so why not use it? Pete, absolutely 100%, bro. You should. You know, it doesn't mean that you're trying to run 1.5 miles like we did back when we were in the army together, but it might be that you can get yourself out and go for it and actually finish a 2.5K run, which is 1.5 miles, right? Or 2.4 kilometers. You could just try with that and see what you did. All you need is trainers. Yeah. Well, you would have to wear shorts and a t-shirt, Adrian. You can't go out butt naked. But yes, trainers for running is all you need. Butterfly Horse. Hello, Butterfly Horse. Evening. Just got back from the gym and you joined at the moment we're talking about Muscle Moment. Yes. Well done, Butterfly Horse. You're saying you'd like to train for a Tough Mudder or High Rocks. Why not? Set yourself the challenge, Butterfly Horse. Okay. Put it in now. Find an event, go and pay for it. That will put your commitment in there. You don't have to do it right now, as in the event doesn't have to be right now. Maybe choose one for later on in the year. But book it. Put your money in, and once your money is in there, I guarantee you will be more motivated to do it. Peter's saying, started to look into rucking. Just getting my training plan sorted, but already done a best effort mile with 10% of my body weight over cross country, 15 minutes 5 seconds. Great. So what Pete is talking about there, rucking, is running with a rucksack or a bag, or as we would call it in the military, a bergen on your back. So carrying a weight on your back while sort of running stroke walking at a very fast pace. So well done, Pete. That's awesome. More of that, bro. More of that. Adrian's saying fartlek. Yeah, 100%. So fartlek is I can't remember the exact Swedish translation, but it's something like speed play, I think. So it means when you go out for a run, whether you're doing a 1K or 5K, you vary the speed. So 1 minute you're sprinting for like 100 meters, and then you slow down into a jog. Then you go into like 75% for like 10 seconds. Then you back off for a minute and you walk, and then you just vary it the whole way. Problem with fartlek though, Adrian, is unless you have someone telling you what to do, it's very difficult to then do fartlek for yourself, because you're not surprising yourself, because you're thinking of the next thing you're going to do, and you'll make an easier choice. Whereas if you have a partner with you, so you go out with the running partner, one person says, right, Adrian, run at 100%, and then they tell you to slow down to 50%. Then it's your turn to tell them to do something, so you can reverse it between each other. That's probably a good way to do it. For those of you that are more crazy than that, there are bigger events, more crazier events that you could do, such as Ironman triathlons, such as the David Goggins Can't Hurt Me challenge. There are super crazy sort of endurance 100-milers, 100k runs and walks that you can do. There are loads of different sort of challenges and events. But I implore you guys to get out there. Geekery is not just inclusive to painting models and playing Warhammer and D&D and all the rest of it. Geekery fitness is vital to helping your geekery. It allows you to de-stress, it allows you to take yourself away for a moment, and it produces serotonin that makes you feel happy and good, keeps your weight down, keeps you healthy, and is good all round. So it's good for the body, okay? And then we go back to the geek stuff for the mind. Talking of geek stuff, let's get back to painting. I've chatted enough about fitness, but if anyone's ever got any chats about fitness that they want to talk about, please do email me at Minis-N-Muscles. That's Minis-N-Muscles at gmail.com. I'll happily talk to you about fitness and try and help you if I can. So yes, please do reach out. Okay, so let's look at our owlbear and how he's looking right now. He's got his blood on his claws, look. He's got his little edge highlights on the rock, on the feathers. You've got a little bit of blood running down the rock at the front here. Okay, you've got the poor little deer at the back. In fact, that deer antler, that needs changing, doesn't it? So we need to put a little bit of dirt across that deer antler. So what I'm going to use for that is Agrax shade. This just makes it takes it from looking really clean like it does right now here to looking dirty effectively. So if you've never used Agrax shade, it's a really good thing to use. And because as well antlers are bone, it actually makes it look more bone coloured as well, I think. I mean, other people might disagree, but I think it does. So there. So all you do is, this stuff is really easy. You just slap it on. You don't have to be perfect either. So you don't have to worry about ensuring that you only get it on a certain area, or only do this or only do that. Just slap it on, get it on there, and then see what it looks like afterwards. When it starts to semi-dry, you can go back and start to wipe it off a little bit. That's if you need to, but just there, it just dulls it down and makes it look a little bit more realistic. So, where are we on this? What do we need to do next? I think we need to put, I'm holding it that way, but we need to put the black into the eyes. That's what we need to do. Don't knock it off the table like you did with the Nuln Oil. No, we don't want another hobby horror. I've just put the lid back on. That was a good reminder, Adrian. I could have had another moment there, couldn't I? And copied my previous frickin' mistake that I made. Well, there you go. Let's not have a hobby horror till we talk about that later. Let's just carry on with the painting, though. I'm just putting some black into my wet palette so that I can then just thin it down slightly because it's on the wet palette. Because right now I'm going to stick on these little goggles and I'm going to paint the black eyeball. The centre of the eyeball, whatever it's called. I forget what the bloody name of it's called. Right, sorry, I just had to pause there slightly to breathe, and I probably put my head in the way. So apologies, but we did get the eyeballs done. Let's zoom in. Whoop, not that far. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can get this right. Can you see the eyeballs? Or the centres? The whatever the bloody thing where your colour of the eye is? Can't remember what it's called, but there it is right there. Oh, we've got someone else dropping in the chat. Squarish, sacrificing Nuln to the Nuln god is an essential part of the mini painting experience, though, isn't it? Yes, see? Yeah, thanks, Squarish. Yeah, it's an essential part of mini painting. If you don't sacrifice your paints, then who are you? Really, who are you? Talking of Nuln ore, let's get the Nuln ore out. Do we think we need to wax some Nuln ore on the rocks? I might put some in some of the crevices and cracks. So again, it's not about sloshing Nuln ore all over. It's just about trying to give it a little bit of shadow. So going into the little cracks like here and just running a bit of Nuln oil in through that bit. Let's take off those. Will help just make the rocks appear a bit more like they've got depth to them. Where there's little bits like that, you can sort of stick a load in there and just see what it looks like. Here we go. And with Nuln ore as well, if it pools or it sort of, and that's pool as in P-O-O-L, you can just drag it. So drag it through and pull it to the next area that you want it in. So don't feel sort of scared about dragging it through. But it's just there to start to, you see the lines there? Start to give a little bit of shading. Let's just see what it looks like when it's all done. So when you start some of these paints, sometimes you look at it, and I always do it, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks hideous. And then when I finish it, I'm like, oh, actually, that doesn't look too bad. So quite often it's like that sort of in-between phase that's quite worrying, where I sit there and I go, oh my god, I've kind of ruined that model. It looks crap now. I really don't like it. And then I finish it and I'm like, oh, actually, that doesn't look too bad. And certainly when they start doing Nuln oil as well, because it's shiny, again, it's kind of off-putting a little bit, but just bear with it, bear with the process. Just find the little crevices and cracks and just run a little bit of Nuln oil through those crevices and cracks. It doesn't have to be every single one as well, remember, but it just has to be a couple of them just to give it that appearance of shadowing. And areas that have depth, you can stick it in there too. Yeah. Sorry, I was getting rather excited then, wasn't I, with my big shout out. Okay, run it down there. Okay, now just the backside to do, and not his backside, but the backside of the rock. So again, just find the crevices and cracks. Just add a little bit of Nuln oil, not too much. Just along those crevices, just to highlight where they are. Just so you can see a little bit of shadowing. That's all it is for. You don't want it to be too much. You don't want it to be too overpowering. So it's just small bits. So hopefully from them small bits, it just gives the rock, and not Dwayne the Rock, but it gives the rock a little bit more definition. I've just noticed a error that I made on part of the rock, so I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of grey on the end of my brush and just fix that. There we go. There we are. Lovely. Okay. Cool. Well, I dare say it, guys, but I think we might be good. So just changing the camera there just so you can see it a bit better. So you can see his little pupils. You can see the edge highlighting a bit better and some of those shadows that we've just created with the Nuln Oil across, you know, areas along here, for example. What do we reckon? Has he come out okay? And again, this hasn't taken us, pupils, Pete, yet correct. You know, this hasn't taken us forever. This has not been a model that's taken us 10 light years to paint. You know, we undercoated it black. We then smashed some browns across the fur. You know, we've given a little bit of detail here, a few edge highlightings on the feathers and things like that on the rocks. Added some blood, added some guts. You know, it doesn't look too bad, does he? Thanks, Elias. So it's simple painting that you can now stick on your table, and that looks like a really effective model, right? It's not, again, going to win you any awards. That is not why we're here. We are here to talk and show how to paint quickly, how to paint efficiently, to get a nice look to be able to put on your tabletop and use these miniatures and geek it up with your friends. So that is our owlbear, unless anyone wants any extra things done to him. Just have a little think whilst we're... Oh, actually, I know what we have missed. Is his claws on the back, haven't we? So we'll do that before we finish up. On this model, that is. So claws on his back feet. So we can't miss those out, can we? Crikey. So let's cover these in. It's the trouble when you've got certain areas of the model that are painted and you're then trying to add a little bit more colour. You kind of don't know where to put your hand to support yourself, because I always try to support, like here you can see I'm resting my finger on the model because that's my painting hand. Get the old man shakes, you see, so I need to rest on something to be able to, you know, paint without absolutely demolishing the model. There we go. What else are we going to talk about, by the way? Because we were talking about gaming, weren't we? And sort of my experience so far. We've spoken about retro gaming before, so I don't think we'll cover that today. But we could always talk about another one of my topics that I kind of wrote out in my agenda. What was that? So what about online multiplaying? We've not really spoke about that much. Online multiplaying. Does anyone do any online gaming? If you do, stick it in the chat. Tell me what games you play. I'd love to hear from you. But online gaming, well, it's fun, right? I play Fortnite, as I said, with my cousin a lot. However, there is a darker side to online gaming, and that darker side is a bit toxic, and it's full of douchebag players, right? Quite frankly, it's full of douchebag players that, you know, I do not care to play with, and you probably won't either. However, you can't avoid them because they are everywhere, right? These players are absolutely everywhere. But that's not a problem because, you know, you don't have to listen to these idiots. You can mute them if they're talking crap, and you can, you know, forget about these people quite quickly. What's Pete saying there? Warhammer Darktide. Ooh, nice. Darktide. Is that a new one that's just come out, Pete? I think it is, if I'm right from my my understanding. I might put. Just thinking about the deer. Do I? No, actually, I'm not going to sully the deer fur. I think he's had enough where he's been eaten. Look at the guts there. Look. Yeah, look at that. Ugh. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that as it is. He's quite a nice little owlbear. It's got some quite nice little features on it. Again, didn't take us long to paint at all. If I can paint this whilst I'm chatting to you guys, you know, you guys can paint this. Nah, quite old, but had a fresh update. Ah, okay. I'm just going to change my camera quickly. So, we'll talk about hobby horror moment, perhaps, before I forget, because it is 22. So, I was going to talk about when good tools go bad. And actually, what we could do is we could put a poll in for the next, what's it called, couldn't we? For the next model. So, let's start a poll. Next model. ... Right, let's have Dreadnought. Let's have Immolator Tank. Add option. Let's have oh crikey, I've forgotten what we had last time. Does anyone remember what we had last time as the options? Malaneth, and I think it's Gotrek. Assassin and Barbarian, and then we had, let's think of another one we could do. Just looking at my box of stuff and what we've got here. Oh, let's do, what about Space Marine Librarian. Okay. Ah, okay, that one's too long. See if I can shorten this. Sorry, guys. Start poll. There we go. Cool. Okay, so I've just put a poll up. There you go. There's the poll. So start voting. Stick your votes in for the next model that you want to see. We've got a Dreadnought. So this little fella. So he needs painting. He's blue. But he needs painting. He needs lots of detail. We've got this little fella. We've got a Space Marine Terminator. Sorry, a Space Marine Librarian I've put him down as, but he's in Terminator armour. We've got him. We've got Malaneth and Gotrek that we had last time, so I should probably try and grab those out. Are they in this box? Let's see. Nope, they're not in that box. They might be in this box here. Let's have a look. Aha! So we've got Gotrek and we've got Malaneth. So we've got those two as a duo to paint and build and paint actually for those two. And then what else do we say in the thingy? Oh, and the Immolator Tank, which is here. So we've got this Immolator Tank to paint as well. So stick your votes in, see what you want. Tell me what you want. We'll paint that next. And let's talk about the hobby horror moment. So, whilst we're waiting for those votes to come in. Hobby horror moment. When good tools go bad, what happens? Well, my hobby horror moment for you guys, right? So, we all use things like these, right? Cutters. Cutters are used. They're metal, little snips that are used for cutting models, plastic models, may I add, off of sprues. Sprues being the plastic sort of surround that holds all the model pieces in one place before you put it all together, right? Now, for my birthday, I got a lovely Citadel set of cutters. Not these Citadel ones, the ones that are sort of labelled and got Citadel written on them, right? Now, I got those cutters. They're well nicer than these ones, far more nicer than these ones. They feel nice, they look really expensive. I was well chuffed because these don't really cut that well. So much so, actually, I've still got a pair that I've got from the 90s that are in my drawer somewhere. In fact, they might be here. I might be able to show you. Is it this one? Yeah. So I've still got these, right? These cutters, I had these in the 90s. A friend of mine gave these to me. I've had them ever since. Made in Taiwan, so these were probably made years ago. And I mean years and years. And they still work. They're awesome. The blades are a little bit... I need to redo the blades and cut them down a bit just because they're a bit knackered, where you used to get metal miniatures and they used to chip the edges. But you don't really get metal miniatures anymore. Certainly not in the Warhammer and D&D world anyway nowadays, unless you're going old hammer. So I got these new Citadel ones for my birthday, right? Here I was cutting away, and I noticed that the blade, as I was cutting, it didn't seem to bite in properly, and it looked like it had bent, and I was like, no way, it's cutting plastic. And then within 2 seconds later, and this is within a week of owning them, I cut a piece of plastic and I just went through it, and I must have pulled hard when I clamped them together, and the bloody thing snapped. The whole bloody blade sheared off, and my brand new cutters were knackered. I was devastated. So that kind of brought me into thought, oh well, I'll stick that in the hobby horror this week. So what does that mean? Price doesn't always mean quality. The cutters, these were free in a Space Marine starter box set. Would come along with some paints and a paintbrush and these clippers. The ones that I got for my birthday, I think they were about 20 something quid, and they were crap. These from the 90s are still going strong, you know, and I think these will outlast everything, to be fair. But so price doesn't always mean quality. Check what you get. Check on the reviews. I probably should have checked the reviews, and I have checked since. And the Citadel cutters don't have that good a review, so always worth checking. So yeah, it's very frustrating. So my question to you, is it worth buying branded tools? Has anyone bought any branded tools, be that paintbrushes, clippers, magnifying glasses, arch lights, whatever it is, and been absolutely gutted with the quality that they received? Question for you all. Welcome home, JPC. You've made it. I'm glad you've made it back. Let's have a look at our poll. How's our poll going so far? Oh, so far the Space Marine is in the lead. Space Marine's got the most votes so far. So you guys are favouring that we paint this guy next. He's quite cool, actually. He is quite a cool miniature. And he's got lots of detail on him in the armour, which will be quite funky to paint and cool to paint. So we might well do him. Second place is the Dreadnought. So the big bad Redemptor Dreadnought that needs some paint on him. He's there, so he's in second place. Oh, hang about. Oh no, it's changing. We've had another vote. So someone else, we've got votes for the Immolator tank, which is this one. So we've got vote for that one, and we've got some votes for Malaneth and Gotrek as well. I think we've got votes for these, which are the two models that will go together. So that's what we got. Come on, guys, last minute or so. Will the polls change, or are we going with the Librarian Space Marine? So we'll give it the last few seconds to see what happens here. Ooh, tense times. Yeah, that was my hobby horror moment. Have any of you experienced that? Have you used a piece of kit that's been, you know, quite expensive, and then you've just realised it's an absolute piece of crap, and you should possibly never trust expensive things ever again? Certainly happened to me, as I said, with my clippers that I had, my snips that were Games Workshop or Citadel branded, and they were rubbish. So if Games Workshop, if you're listening to me, I bought some of your snips in good faith, and they broke within a week, and they were just cutting plastic. I've still got these made in Taiwan bad boys from the 90s, and they're still going. Whereas your new clippers are useless, may I say. So, Games Workshop, please feel free to email me at Minis-N-Muscles@gmail.com. And maybe we can sort out a new pair of darn snips. So it looks like we're coming to the last couple of seconds then on the vote. And it looks like the Space Marine is going to get it. Let's end the poll there. So we've got Space Marine. Yeah, Space Marine wins it on 42% of the vote. Nice. When you say made in China, of course. Or what, as in the Citadel... Citadel snips, yeah, more than likely. More than likely. Right, so we are going to paint this guy. He's already been undercoated and he's already been sprayed blue. So he's got his blue, nice blue, McCrag blue across him. So he looks quite smart. So he's now starting to do all the details. Let's change our camera up so we can have a look at him. Let's use this camera this time. Whoop. Here we go. Oh, whoop. There we are. So that's what we're working with, guys. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool miniature. JPC saying, I'm the only one who voted tank. Oh, sorry, JPC. Oh, dropped him again. There we are. So this is the guy. So this is a Space Marine librarian. Librarians have psychic powers that they can use for good or for bad, perhaps, against their foes in battle, but they're also pretty tough cookies anyway, so they're quite senior Space Marines as such. So yes, this is the one we're going to paint. Adrian's saying GDW clippers can get damaged from clipping paper clips if you have been pinning. Yeah, I don't know. Well, my GW clippers, I do have these ones, I guess, still. So I have these clippers. These are GW, but from the starter set, they're okay. Order more stained glass. Well, funny you say that, JPC. On the miniature itself, you've got this bag, and this comes with the immolator tank. This is an official Games Workshop one, so there is some stained glass already. You will see. But anyway, let's go on with this guy. So where was I? I started just sort of slapping colour on, really. And I started with silver, so I guess we should get some silver out. And finish all the silver bits. That's generally how I work. So I choose a colour. We start painting that colour. And this colour we're going to use is lead belcher. So we're going to use a bit of lead belcher. Let's mix her up. Just so it's not like our coagulated blood. I think that's oxygenated. It doesn't look right, that coagulated blood. It's gone wrong somehow. So yeah, I'm not happy about that. Righty, so we got this lead belcher for the silver. Let's stick a load of that. I know people say don't put metallics in the wet palette, but for me it works, okay? And ultimately with painting, you do what works for you. I'm always here and I give tips and advice and tricks, but it doesn't mean that you have to do what I say. I'm not a dictator. I'm not Kim Jong-un. So don't worry. I will not be taking over your life or your living room or your painting obsessions. So don't panic. Righty. So let's have a look here. We've got some storm bolters on his arm. So I always love to paint storm bolters in red. I'm kind of old because those that you started Warhammer years ago will remember that the weapons always used to have like a red casing on them. So I do like doing that still. I think it's sort of just like a nod to the old school style of painting weapons. And I did like a red bolter. So we'll do the red bolter casing still. But we'll start to paint some of these silver parts on the model. So just putting some around the barrel and things like that. Yeah, so we were talking about online playing and sort of avoiding those mean individuals that are out there that play online games. Just mute them. Just mute them, ignore them, stay away from them if you can. It's not worth it. They're not worth your time, and they're certainly not worth your energy. So yeah, that can be a toxic part of playing online, unfortunately, but hopefully you're able to find some good friends to play online with, and there are a lot of good people out there. Geeks are pretty decent, to be fair. So go out there, go online, find yourself a good geek, and play online with them. It's lovely to play online. Just stay out of that sort of dramas of online bitchiness. So we don't like that. Yeah, but it's nice to play online because it's cooperation, right? There's one thing you don't get with normal gaming is, you know, cooperate with yourself. It's just that's ridiculous. You don't get that same vibe, and I quite like that in a game. I like the fact you get to play with others and you're reacting to other people's choices too, rather than your own. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to have to react to playing with someone that's absolutely wild playing computer games and spoils it for everybody. That's not fun. But it's working together and sort of listening to other people's ideas and how they want to do things. That makes online gaming, for me, the best thing ever. I love that sort of co-op feel when you're playing online with other people that have different views to you, or they want to tackle a task in a slightly different way. That makes online gaming very, very cool. By the way, you might see here I am going over some of the lines and I'm not being particularly careful here. Don't panic, don't worry. We will go back and tidy things up as we always do. But it's just initially about getting a little bit of the right colour in the right place. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be perfect, but that's fine. So we're just getting some colour in. So as I said, we will paint this Storm Bolter, the outside of the casing, red anyway, because as I said, I like a bit of red. I like being tradish. I like being a bit old school with my paint schemes. I don't know if people still paint bolters red. Do people still paint bolters red? Those that play Warhammer? Jump in on that conversation on the chat. Tell me. I would love to know. Does everyone still paint bolters red? Or am I just the only saddo? There we go. What else could we talk about online gaming? And sort of this idea of creating your own sort of gaming PC. Well, part of that is a bit of a frustration and sort of something that I've been tackling with this PC that I've been testing. You can get things where you end up with a kind of performance bottleneck. Now, one thing that Pete was talking about earlier in the comments is how he likes consoles because of the ease. Now, that is true. Consoles come out of the box, they work, and they work to a good level. They're not the most powerful, but they work to a really good level, and you get a set standard across pretty much everything you play. Now, with PC, you don't get that. Games will perform differently depending on what title you're playing and depending on what hardware you've got on your PC, so as in the graphics card, the CPU, etc. So you do get quite a wide range of variance with PC, unless obviously you have the creme de la creme and it's running absolutely fine. So you might find you'll get a bottleneck in performance that will be your graphics card, or perhaps it will be the RAM that you've got because it can't hold enough. It doesn't have enough memory, or it might be the actual CPU itself. So you have to be a little bit more intelligent on how you go about building your PC so it will perform right for the games that you want to play. And there are plenty of games out there. So if you're just going to play retro games, you might find that you can run pretty much any modern day PC and you won't have any problem whatsoever. But if you're going to start venturing into more high-end games, which are called AAA games, which are the real big beefy games with plenty of memory usage, high churn on graphics, you're going to need something that's got a bit of poke. So do be aware that certain things will stop your flow of gaming and not allow you to be quite as effective as what you may well think you can be. So do bear that in mind when you're building your gaming PC. It's not the end of the world because you can upgrade, right? You can make things better, but it's okay. Pete's saying he doesn't. No, you You heathen, Pete! How dare you not? I do, unfortunately, I do. And what Pete's referring to there is painting bolters red. I just love it. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. It's just a nostalgia thing, I think. Just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, man. I just like the feeling of a red bolter between my hands. Oh, gone over the edge a bit there, but never mind. Again, it's not the end of the world if we do. I just noticed I went a bit light on that grey across there. Should probably sort that out. Just add in a bit more of this sort of silver to the blade as well, just so it's got a good coverage. Because it looks like when I first went across I didn't quite get the coverage right. So you can see a little bit of the blue poking out underneath the silver. Now you might want that. You might want some kind of residual colour poking through. It's not quite the right blue that I would want for poking through here. I would want a brighter blue because I'd want this sort of electricity kind of feel on the weapon. And that's what we're going to try and create on this as we get later down the lines, putting in the details. Some sort of electric flow type feel that's coming across this weapon, right? That's what we want. So again, just taking your time, just going around all those bits, choose the areas you want. You don't have to follow the box, but sometimes following the box art is helpful because, again, it's all to do with speed, right? And I'm not just speed focused because of any other reason other than it assists you in getting to play the game quicker. If you can play the game quicker, that's what it's all about. Now, and I say that with Warhammer because and D&D figures, because the miniature building part is really important, because it's part building a model and painting it is all part of sort of being exposed to the world. However, if you can't play the game they were intended for, what's the point? Although I painted Warhammer miniatures for years and years and years and never played. So I guess there is a point, because it's still good regardless. You don't have to play the game, but for quite a lot of people there is a want or a desire or a passion to play the game. So, you know, taking a lifetime on a miniature is not always where you want to be. Even me, when I was painting back in the day just for painting's sake, I still wanted to get onto the next model. That's purely because I get bored. So it might just be that you get bored with painting, so you want to move on to the next model. Just looking at how this model flows actually, and the metal on this. How, by the way, is the lighting? Is the lighting any better on the model? Now I've got these new lights above my head and I'm sort of under the spotlight sweating like a mofo. Is it any better? For seeing the model, that is. In the camera, close up. I don't know if it's any better or not. Must admit, even... sorry, hang about. It's your model and red for the Stormbolter casings. Yeah. That is very true, Adrian. It is my model. I wasn't asking whether or not you should think I should paint it red. I was asking whether you paint it red as well, or whether it's just me. I will paint it red regardless because I love it. But yeah, it is 100% my model, and you should always paint what you feel is best. Must admit, even with my Xbox X playing Cyberpunk with ray tracing, I think I need a better monitor and TV. Yeah. So what you might want to check, Pete, with your Xbox X is that it's going to be limited in terms of frames per second. Now, PlayStation do the same as well. They limit, let's use Fortnite as the example, they limit it to 60 frames per second. Can't get any better than that. So if the output is only going to be 60 frames per second, you don't need a real high performance monitor. That PC that I've got does 120 frames per second, so the screen I've got does go up to, I think, 200 frames per second. But yeah, so you might need to change. It depends on the output of an Xbox X. I'm not quite sure. Adrian's saying, could break up all the blues. Yes, we will break up all the blues. There's going to be a lot more detail going into this Mini, and it will start to take shape. But right now, it just looks like one big blue blob. You haven't had a battery warning yet. I know! It's because I charged my camera and it stayed on the whole time. So I'm very happy about that. Right, but what I am going to do, though, is I'm going to place him down right now. Because I can feel that my voice is starting to go because I've spoke so much this evening. And it is 6 minutes past 9. So that means we've reached the end of the show. I never get to finish my agenda that I write, you know. I write an agenda every week. I never finish talking about it because there's so many points. And I just waffle on about everything. So apologies. But I just wanted to say thank you to every single one of you that has joined me live, that has dropped some chat dropped some text into the chat box, has interacted with me, has taken part in the poll. It's been a wonderful Friday. I've appreciated every single one of you that has joined me this evening. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Remember to like the post when it comes out. So please do like it. Please do, if you have the time and the patience, put a little comment on the video when it comes out. Because that helps massively. Both those two things really help massively with getting the algorithm right, so lots of people can enjoy Minis and Muscles every week, as do you. And that means we can also build an even better community. So that's really, really important. But thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Go and enjoy it. Do something geeky. Do something physical. Get yourself out there. And next week, join us at 7 PM BST, where on a Friday, where we will be here, and we will be here to paint some minis here on Minis and Muscles, the place and the only place where the brawn meets the brush. Take it easy, stay safe, and I will speak to you all very, very soon.
Minis and Muscles, we're heroes rise. The tiny world's still body skies. Rushing air, where power we fight. Strength that makes you light in the night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this love imagination mode. With every stroke, adventures unfold. Minis and Muscles, heart and soul. Guidance in hand and worlds to explore. Roll the future, hear the dice roar. Gaming realms of muscles drawn. Together in this place where we belong. Golden spells casting